Hello?
Hello,
Is everyone here? Can we all hear or?
I'm here.
Okay, and do we have Denise? Do we have Lyoka? Who are we? What happened?
Loka isn't going to our
Okay.
meeting today.
Okay. Denise, are you
And
here?
that's good.
Yes. Sorry, I was not meeting on my work.
Okay, no problems, no problems. So we can get.
Yes, I have some problem with network, so probably sometimes I will disappear. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Okay.
I
All
have
right.
no any work at after 7 p.m. But today,
Okay, well,
yes,
these things happen. These things happen. It's life and it happens. But should we get started then? So we have these 40 minutes for this conversation club. We're talking about holiday shopping and about shopping in general and about all of these trends and expectations and shopping, spending patterns and what have you. So maybe we can just start by talking about feelings. What are your feelings in general about holiday shopping? We can start maybe with Elia.
please repeat the questions. I was out of line.
I beg your pardon?
I think he asks to repeat the question.
Yes, I have an awful network here, and try to find any place out of our meeting room where it's rather quiet and a good network.
Okay, I mean, is it comfortable for you today, Denise? Maybe it would be better to do it a different day, or what do you think? I mean, because if you have connection problems, that's a huge challenge, I know.
Yes. Now looks like rather good. So let's try to continue. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right, so the first question is, what are your feelings about holiday shopping? We can start with Denise. Denise, what do you can go ahead and answer that question. What do you feel about holiday shopping?
I prefer do shopping throughout internet because all time before holidays there are many people in shops, and it's not a simple task to find all presents for my relatives and find anything useful for me. So usually I prefer internet shopping, and I prefer for some weeks before holiday to understand what I want, and some optimal gifts to try to understand what goods can be a good gift.
Okay, all right, so you definitely like to do it in advance, and as you mentioned, you like to do these online shopping as an option. But what about, I mean, the whole idea in general? I mean, do you enjoy shopping for the holidays? Is that something you enjoy doing, or what do you feel about it?
Shopping because rather think I can say that I like to go to physical shop to look at some clothes or some gadgets. I prefer study some characteristic or look and take decision. I can't talk more about going to shop and shopping itself. For me, more functional thing than some hobby.
Okay, what about you, Elia? What do you feel about holiday shopping? What are your feelings about this whole thing?
Actually, you know, it is very pity for me to spend holidays for shopping, because usually I'm sick and tired of that the whole process, especially when it is connected with physical shops. Most of all, I hate shopping with my elder daughter because possible nothing suitable for her, and I think yes, I also mostly prefer shopping by internet, and uh, thing to touch. And another good point about shopping that you work a lot during shopping, and it is very useful.
Okay, all right, that's a good point. I personally, I don't know why, but I'm really not big on holiday shopping because, for example, I mean, I never really know what to give people as presents. Maybe it's just because, I mean, when I was a child, my parents, you know, that was a big thing to get presents for Christmas or New Year's, whenever. But then once I got older, it didn't really mean the same thing, you know? I mean, my parents didn't know what to get. Maybe my mom got me some clothes or something like that. And now I just don't know, I mean, what kind of gifts to give people. I mean, for children, yes, okay, it's some toy or something like that. But for other people, I don't know. Like, I never know what to give my husband. Maybe some trip to a spa or a massage or something like that. But I don't really know, I mean, what sort of special gifts there are. So for me, it's a kind of strange position to be in because, all right, it's the holiday season, we give gifts for New Year's and what have you, but I just don't really know what to give, and it always makes me feel a little bit strange. And then when it comes to shopping, physical shopping, going to the stores, there's so many people and such long lines, and, you know, trying to go to a store with a child to go shopping just for food is impossible because there are toys everywhere. And, you know, so for me, it's kind of an overwhelming time of the year, but all right, it is what it is. Let's maybe then move to the next question. It's kind of a personal one. If you don't feel comfortable answering, you don't have to. But when it comes to disposable income, Elia, would you say that you have a lot of disposable income for shopping or for other things?
Disposable means that money that you spend to nothing. Am I right?
No, I mean,
that you don't need.
Disposable income is like when you have a salary, you have enough money to pay for everything you need to pay for your apartment or your food and bills and all the other things, but then you also have money that can be used on luxuries or other things, you know, like you can go shopping for more clothes and maybe for gifts and stuff like that. That's called disposable income, when you have this extra money to spend on things that you don't need, but that you...
No, actually, yes, I have 2 credit cards, husband, and really I'm always in awful position because I always try to empty these both cards. Makes him absolutely angry about that. Cards are empty, so I stop.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's an honest question. I mean, an honest answer. Yeah, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. What about you, Denise? Do you have a lot of disposable income?
Usually I'm on other side because my wife sometimes like to spend more time than I planned. But I have some financial instruments like credit cards, like some loans. So about my shopping, I usually planned some buying before, so it's not look like a usual shopping. I have a plan to upgrade my computer to buy additional accessories to my hobbies and so on. Also, only buying clothes, it's like I have some amount of money with, and if my wife go to shopping, I try to understand if she won't buy something very rich, so yes, it's possible and do it. But another time I trying to not to increase money we spend to shop over some planned line.
Well, and that's, I mean, a good point. Yeah, that if you're on that other end, you know, when it comes to managing finances, that's a huge thing, I mean, in people's lives. And if you're the person working, you're the person spending, if you're both, it all kind of puts you in a different situation.
So sometimes, yes, also sometimes we have some prices, because most goods we buying it's come to our country abroad. So changing exchange courses can cause a meaningful change of prices. Part of financial management, and also sometimes affect.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know, I noticed that a lot. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely another thing that is even more relevant, I think, today, especially if you look at, you know, the exchange rates, and it's absolutely amazing how expensive things can be when you really don't think they're going to be that expensive. But again, you have to be aware of all these things and just really kind of monitor the situation. When it comes to disposable income, I'd say that I really don't have it because I'm not working full time. My husband does, and you know, like, okay, you were saying, Denise, I've got, okay, the card that my husband gives, like you were saying, Elliot, the same thing. And I, you know, monitor what I use, because once that money is gone, you know, it's gone, and you can't. And you know, it's kind of have to be careful with that. There is money I get from other work that I do, but it's, you know, freelance work and not permanent. But then, you know, I never quite know if that money is still going to be around come holiday shopping season. Usually I spend it for regular things like groceries and, you know, that sort of thing. So again, that's another position you have to take into consideration when it comes to shopping and what have you. What about sales? I mean, what about sales where you live? Denise, you're in Moscow. What is the sales situation like in Moscow?
Good questions. I can talk more about Senet, but about sales in physical shops, usually, yes, sometimes I find sales in, but to my opinion, it's in Moscow. In most cases, it's not about the decreasing price. It's like a part of shop marketing. I often meet situations, then I can remember the price before sales, and some probably less, but not big. But sometimes the price is grown in time of sales. So for me, it's a part of marketing and not a really interesting thing. But when I order some thing from shops like Amazon or in some European shops, yes, sales is a good thing.
Okay.
Sometimes, yes, very interesting to find anything expensive goods, but on the less price.
Yeah, it's always great to find a bargain. Again, like in Moscow and Russia, it's really not so much. I mean, maybe some of you have seen those pictures all over the internet of the so-called Black Friday sales in Russia, where you have the old price and the new price, and the new price is more than the old price, or the sale price is the same as the regular price, like 0% discount. And, you know, I don't know, it's like, is it a joke or is it just real? I mean, some of these things, I know last year, I live in Croatia, it was maybe 2 years ago, I bought a coat. And I bought a coat and I don't know how much I paid for it. It was maybe, I don't know, maybe like 50 euros or something like that. And then I was thinking, oh no, why did I buy it now? Now there's going to be this sale, Black Friday sale. It's going to be cheaper and everything else. And then I went to the store. And sure enough, they had this sale 30% off. But the new price, the sale price on the coat that I had bought a week before for 50 euros was now 70 euros. So it was more expensive with the sale than it was before. I don't know how that's possible, but again, it's the magic of sales. What can you do? What about you, Elia? How are sales here in Samara? How are sales in Samara? Are there sales in Samara? Or is it, like Denise said, this marketing approach?
Yes, they were during that Black Friday. There were some sales, but of course not 50, not 70%, mostly not so. Some shops, they were really honest, but actually to know whether they're honest or not, it is better the prices were before as a situation. If you are not in the theme and you haven't monitored that before, it's very difficult to decide whether it is discount or not, really, because it is, I think, Russian style of Black Friday. Actually, I only once participated here in Samara in really selling. It was Adidas selling, and it was really 90% sale. Everything what was suitable for my size.
Okay, all right, but 90%, that's a pretty huge sale, isn't it?
Yes, it was very nice. So that's why the whole department was becoming very quickly empty. Me, but many other people also were doing the same thing. They were just searching the size. We're not looking to the price, but just the size. It was the point interested.
Yeah, that's definitely another thing that, you know, these sort of sales, what exactly are you looking for? Are you looking for something because it's a good deal, or are you looking for something because you actually want it, you actually need it, or what have you? It's also a very good point about that. I'm curious too about a little more about Samara and about what kind of goods you have there, because I know that, for example, in Kaluga, which is not so far from Moscow, what, about 200 kilometers, there was the situation when you went to stores there and the items that they had in stores were things that were from the last season or the last year in Moscow. Like, so they have things in Moscow, then they put things on sale in Moscow, and then after those things don't sell, then they end up sending them to other regions. So, hang on a second.
Yes, in Samara, I think we have got perhaps we've got the same situation. Actually, I'm not so interested in the collections. That's why I can't say whether it is this year collection or the last year collection. For me, it is not so important because I'm not so fashionable girl. First of all, I'm mother of 3 kids, and as for example, to think about that kids' clothes, for me actually it isn't very important whether it.
Okay, well, that's a fair enough point, of course. I mean, it's one of those things that, you know, maybe some people are looking at that sort of thing, others aren't. What about consumerism? Let's talk more about that. Not shopping in specific, but consumerism in general. This is, what we buy, how willing we are to keep on buying things for the sake of buying them. What would you say? How has consumerism changed in the past 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, both for you personally and then for society as a whole? Maybe let's start with you, Denise. What would you say? How has this consumerism changed?
Oh, it's a big and rather global questions. So when I was very young, I can remember it was some border time, because it was last ages of Soviet Union and first ages of modern economy. And I can remember that was very limited quantity of goods, and many, for example, toys was very bad quality. Of course, last year's situation become more good, but to my mind, according to clothes, at last 2 years, there are some problems with quality. I can't find a thing that have enough quality to me by meaningful prices. So we have in Moscow or some really luxury class clothes which have normal quality, or other which have big, rather different prices, but with less quality. And for me, it's some kind of mystery, because I can't understand who buy low quality things.
Yeah, this is a really, really interesting point you bring up, Denise. I remember when I moved to Russia, I was shocked at how expensive clothes were, because in the United States, clothes were not so expensive. I remember I would go, and maybe sometimes, depending on what kind of fashion style point I was in my life, there was a time when I was wearing maybe a new outfit every day, which was really, really ridiculous, but still possible because clothes were so cheap. And then when I came to Russia, it was in St. Petersburg at the time, but Moscow traveling too, I just couldn't believe how expensive clothes were. And I talked to my friends and I said, well, how is that possible? How is it possible? Things are so expensive. And then I went shopping with some of my Russian friends. And they were saying, well, we won't buy something if the quality is no good. It has to be a high quality thing. No one is going to buy clothes that aren't good quality. And I said, well, okay, but you could have maybe, and I understood that, okay, that's a completely different approach, that you have fewer things, but the things that you do have are of much higher quality, that last longer, look better, and everything else. I think maybe what you're mentioning these past couple of years, maybe things have changed. Maybe this whole idea of buying cheap and buying more is coming to Russia too.
Yes, also most part of people can't compare between she's have no experience using or buying quality thing, because many years before there was no quality thing at all. My wife go shopping 2 days ago, and then she come to home angry because she spent 3 hours and can't find nothing. And at last year, before New Year, we visit Barcelona, and she have no problem to shopping on that time.
Okay,
I hope.
yeah.
Yes, it was a joke, because in Barcelona she spent, as I remember, 2 hours, and she flew his bag, and we have overweight in airport, and for me it was a big quest to solve all this problem. And another site in Moscow is really crazy, because she can't find nothing sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, there is a huge difference in that sort of thing. I mean, it's a very good point. What about you, Ellie? I mean, you mentioned that you're really not into all this fashion stuff, but what about consumerism? I mean, what sort of things have you seen change in consumerism in these past years?
I think that depends maybe mostly not even on time, but on personal. So, for example, some people prefer to buy high quality things, but not many of them. Other people prefer to go to every week and change always clothes as um, to throw out and very quickly. They need to buy cheaper clothes. I think it depends on person itself. As for me, I prefer to have less things of quality, because actually I don't have enough time to. So, and I'm used to one thing, and I prefer I can wear it for a long time. Tired of that.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. I mean, I look at consumerism and I mean, for example, Russia, you know, when I first came to Russia, that was, my goodness, maybe 15 years ago or so. And like I mentioned, you know, when I came, I didn't see that people bought so many things, especially when it came to clothes. But in general, you know, buying a mobile phone, you got a mobile phone and it lasted. You got a pair of shoes and you took care of that, or a pair of winter boots and you took care of that one pair of boots, or these things. And today it seems like there is more. I mean, you're talking about how there are more products on the market and what have you. And I think it's interesting that maybe Russia has caught up to that mass consumerism stage. I don't know. Is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I think that what you see now in places like the US, where this consumerism has gotten out of hand for so many people, you see people that are really getting back to this whole idea of minimalism. You know, getting rid of all that clutter, getting rid of all those extra clothes. You don't really need all of that. It's not good for the environment. It's not good for your wallet. It's not good for your psychology. It's not good for your head, you know, to have all this stuff around you. So I don't know, what will we see in the years to come? I'm not sure, but maybe the reason why we see more consumerism in markets where we didn't have it before is because the markets where it has been so big is starting to go down because people are starting to think differently. I don't know. Evolution, devolution, what can you call it exactly? But I guess it's just the reality of society, the reality of life and changing. What about typical holiday shopping? When does typical holiday shopping begin in Russia, and how much do you think people spend? What do you think, Denise?
In compared to my English colleagues, we have a main holiday from 1st of January, and some 2 years before, I remember there was no holiday even at end of December. So holiday shopping was some crazy thing because all people should spend his time on work, and then at evening all of them goes to shop to buy some future gifts and so on. And some people started holiday shopping 2 weeks before 1st of January. It was not looks like at holiday shopping, I think, in America.
Yeah, but what about now? I mean, are people doing that sort of thing, even though it's not until New Year's? Are people still buying? Like, we had this whole Black Friday thing. Are people buying now for New Year's?
Yes. But now become some holiday day before New Year, so it's more like an traditional shopping, and also in Moscow, I meet many people who have a flexible work schedule and can spend few days before New Year to shopping and or to not to work, to prepare to holiday, to shopping on other interesting interesting thing for him, for them.
Yeah, that's definitely. What about in Samara, Elia? What is the shopping season like? When does it start? How much do people spend there for, you know, holiday gifts and what have you?
I think it looks much more the same like in Moscow. Maybe not so global, but the same. Especially people to buy products because there are some products that they couldn't buy much time before. It looks in that product department, it looks like really very crazy. Looks like very crazy for me, but most part of the participate in that. I don't know how to say that. In that mat.
The what?
Before, but recent years, I think that less. It is less. Because many people prefer to spend the New Year not at homes, but some at restaurants, somewhere or somewhere even abroad. As for me, I really was my dream to move somewhere, to go somewhere before the week before, and then return the week after.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. That makes sense. I think, well, where I am, my goodness, the holiday decorations were already up last week, 2 weeks ago, maybe. And that's a bit overwhelming just because why are the holiday decorations up already? It's still too early. I don't know. And they have these sales, whatever, Black Friday. And I guess people are already out looking for presents for their children. You know, where do I buy this? Where do I buy that? And what do I buy my husband? And I guess it's already maybe starting here. I haven't started yet. I don't think I will, but that's just my whole sort of approach towards everything. What about consumerism? Do you agree that consumerism is good for economic growth? Elia, what do you think?
I think that yes, consumer is very good for economic, and I think for me personally, there are two magical professions: marketologists, people connected with marketing, and developers. Professions, they are really magicians because they can do unbelievable things for me, for my opinion, and who are connected with marketing. Really, I think it is really magic. People to do something, to do what they want, and in such a way that they even don't, that they do according to someone's plan.
Okay, Denise, what do you think?
For me, consumerism have two different dimensions. One, it's a quantity, and other is quality. The most simple way is to increase only quantity. So we create a new model of phone, but he has only not meaningful differences. But we can promote it as a brand new and some very important for people. But really, it's not anything, not any new. And other side is the quality. So we can achieve growth of economy by creating more modern and more effective technologies to increase quality of goods, to try to improve materials, try to improve usability and so on. But it is a more hard way. So to my mind, growing economy by increasing quantity of goods. So it's a more usual way. And to my mind, it's a most evil part of consumerism. It's a bad to economy because it's less technologies, it's low quality, and it's not a good way. But creating some really quality goods, increasing technology, it's a good way. And sometimes people select more quality thing. And it's a good way to increase economy. And it's also part of consumerism. So
yeah, these are, I mean, good points about everything. I mean, the amount of things that we're buying, what are we putting into the economy, how much are we, yeah, I mean, these are all very good philosophical questions about a lot of things. Let's see, how much more time do we have left? We've got about 5 minutes. Maybe let's ask the question, is there anything that you don't like about shopping? Denise, is there anything you don't like about shopping?
it's a crazy quantity of people in shop. It's to my mind, it's hard to effectively find anything or to get some joy from shopping if a bunch of people run from shop to shop, and it's really not comfortable for me. So to my mind, it's most uncomfortable part. And another part of shopping in the physical shop, there are usually I can't find that I really want to find.
Yeah, that's always a frustrating point.
Yes, often I prepare some study of topics or research what I want to buy or some characteristic, or I can find a brand of clothes that that have interesting philosophy for me or interesting design for me. And usually it's an impossible task to find it in a real physical shop. It's a more simple way, it's find it throughout internet.
Online or something, yeah.
Yes, online.
Okay. What about for you, Elio? Was there anything that you don't like about shopping, or do you even like shopping much to begin with?
No, I also don't like when there are lots of people around. And another point, I don't like empty wallet and empty credit cards that came after shopping. Sometimes very pity to understand that you spent so much money.
Yeah, I definitely understand that too, and I agree with both of you. The crowds, I can't deal with the crowds. Seriously, I go a bit crazy, I think, when you can't walk. It's not so much about, for me, it's not so much about not being able to find something or looking for something, but it's just so many people and the lack of consideration for others. I mean, to me, it's just too much. Again, online shopping may be the way to go, but then the problem, at least for me, is trying to find things that are available, and when shipping isn't going to cost more than the item itself, which is something that I've found to be the case a lot of the time. So that's pretty much, I don't know, it's pretty much all we have time for, I think. Maybe we've already discussed a lot about online retail buying and everything. Maybe we can just end with the question, are there any gifts that you can think of other than things that cannot be bought or that can be bought at the store? What can we give as gifts that we don't have to go wait and, deal with all these people and not having stuff. What do you think, Denise?
I'm not sure that I understand question.
I'm thinking
Can
about
you
a gift other than something you can buy in a store. Is there any gift that you think you can give to someone you love that you can't buy in the store? Not online, not in the store, like some other sort of gift. Is there something maybe handmade, or I don't know, a trip or something? I don't know.
Oh, okay, am I right? Question is what I like to buy in the store, yes? Or
No, something else. Is there some sort of gift that you can give that you cannot buy in a store?
cannot buy in the store?
Yeah.
Ooh. I can't remember some cases when I can't buy what I want in the store. So, many years ago, I prefer some kind of jeanswear, and yes, there was a problem to find it in Russian store. But on the time, I was not know well about online shopping. So, to my mind, now it's an impossible task to find anything that is can't be buying anywhere throughout internet. So even handmade can be bought in eBay or some handmade special portals and so on. If about materials, of course.
Okay, well, that sounds good. Guys, it's time. I've got to go because it's the hour, well, not the hour, but the 40 minutes is up, but it's the hour mark, and I've got something else I've got to do. Urgently, not shopping, I promise, but it was great to have you for this edition of Conversation Club. Any ideas for next time?
Maybe something connected with a healthy lifestyle, for example. I don't know.
Okay, healthy. What do you think, Denise? Is that interesting to you?
I can try.
Okay. All right. Well, okay, so we'll go with healthy lifestyle for next edition of Conversation Club. Have a great evening, everyone, and a great week, great weekend, and stay away from the crowds in the shopping centers because we don't like them.
Thank you very much, everyone.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.